Hi everyone, Susie here with part 1 of my new Python Basics video tutorial series. In this video, I will introduce you to Python, we will install Python, I'll talk briefly about IDEs, install Visual Studio Code, I'll do a quick Visual Studio Code tutorial, and we'll write our first program. So grab a pen, a notebook for notes, your favorite drink, and make sure your computer is up and running. And let's get started. So, what exactly is Python? If you watch my Java tutorial series, you'll kind of understand Python a bit. It's a programming language that was developed in the 1980s by Guido van Rossum and was released as an open source programming language February 20th of 1991. Python is object-oriented procedural language that is quick and easy to build with. Some languages that inspired the creation of Python are ABC, C, and C++. Python also influenced the creation of other languages such as Ruby, Cobra, Boo, SwiftGo, and Julia. Python is great for web applications, games, business applications, and desktop GUIs, or graphical user interfaces. Some popular applications created using Python are Battlefield, Civilization, Dropbox, Google, and Netflix. So, how do you know if Python is installed on your computer? The best way is to open your terminal if you are working with Mac OS, Linux, or Unix, or open CMD prompt or PowerShell if you're working in Windows. At the prompt, type in Python space dash capital V or Python space dash dash version. If nothing appears but the next command prompt line, then Python is likely not installed on your system. Note, some systems may require you to put a 2 or a 3 after Python. For example, Python 3 dash dash version. If it is installed, it will show you the version number. So as you can see here, my system doesn't have Python installed, so I'll need to install it. To install Python, you'll need to go to your browser and type in www.python.org. On the home page, click on Downloads. This will open the Downloads page. With this page open, you can choose the operating system you are currently hosting by clicking on one of the links you see here. The current version of Python as of October 2021 is 3.10.0. If you scroll down, you will see other version releases if you choose to install one of these. I have a Windows system, so Python already has a nice download button for me, so I'll go ahead and click this. By clicking on the download button, python.org will ask you to save the file. Go ahead and save it, or choose a spot to save it if it gives you a choice. Windows has it set up so that downloads will automatically be downloaded into the Downloads folder on my C drive. So I don't need to change anything or choose anything. Once you click Save File and the download is complete, you will want to locate the downloaded file and open it. Depending on your system, the file may have a different name. The Install dialog box should appear. The critical component on this screen is ensuring that you select the Add a Python to Path checkbox. This will make utilizing Python easy. Then click on Install Now. You should see Python begin to install. Once complete, a Setup Successful dialog box should appear. Simply click Close. To make sure Python successfully loaded on your machine, let's reopen your terminal, command prompt, or PowerShell, and type in Python space dash capital V or Python space dash dash version. Again, you may need to type in Python 3 because this time we downloaded the 3.10.0 version. You should see the version appear, as you can see here on my computer. If you still don't see anything, try reinstalling Python, making sure to click the Add Path box. In the next few slides, I will introduce 4 IDE, or Integrated Development Environments. An IDE is a software application you can use to code with. Many are open source, free for public use, and contain many options such as a text editor, compiler, build integration, and debugging that will help you develop your program. Some are light resource users, and some are heavy resource users. IDEs are not the same as text editors, as they contain many more resources than text editors can provide, but you can certainly code with a text editor such as Notepad, TextEdit, or VI Editor. The IDEs I will discuss are Idle, which Python provides when downloaded, Sublime Text Editor, PyCharm, and Visual Studio Code. Python's Idle in Windows can be found in the Start menu under Python. When you open Idle, you can see that it has a menu at the top and 3 chevrons on the side. Idle will allow you to save your files, but the drawback to this program is that you cannot edit it. You will have to retype a line if you encounter an error. You can copy and paste a previous line, but you cannot edit the previous line. So keep this in mind when working in Idle. Idle offers other options as well that I encourage you to explore. The 3 chevrons on the side indicate the line in which to type your code. Python also gives you a command line run program as well. This negates having to load the terminal, command prompt, or PowerShell to run Python. However, you can run Python from the terminal, command prompt, or PowerShell simply by typing in Python or Python 3. Here is Python running in command prompt, and here it is running in PowerShell. Note how I typed in Python on the command line. Python loaded, giving us the information about the program and the version, and then gave us the 3 chevrons. Sublime Text Editor is a lightweight editor that can be used with most coding languages. You can find Sublime at www.sublimetext.com. There is a paid version and a free version. The free version is for evaluation use and will hound you from time to time to get the paid version, so be aware of this. The paid version costs $99 for a license. I suggest downloading the free version and testing to see if you like it. Python is an IDE created by JetBrains and is a heavier resource IDE. It was designed specifically for using Python. JetBrains has other specific programs such as RubyMine for Ruby, IntelliJ IDEA for Java, and PHP Storm for PHP. There is a professional free trial version of this application as well as an open source free download, which is in the community download. PyCharm can be downloaded at www.jetbrains.com/PyCharm. This program is great to use and has many features as well. It can be a bit overwhelming, but again, I encourage you to download the community version and try it out. The last IDE for this introduction is one that I think is the middle of the road and is great for use with other programming languages. It's a free open source program, and I'll be using it to teach you Python. The drawback to this is you'll need to install features to use it, but they too are free. The extensions are very useful, and the Visual Studio Code, or VSC, as I will call it from this point on, is easy to navigate and learn with. You can download it at www.code.visualstudio.com. which I will walk you through next. There are other IDEs out there that you can use, so I encourage you to try different ones and see which one works best for you. To download Visual Studio Code, or VSC, open your browser and type www.code.visualstudio.com. Then click on the Download button. If you're using a different operating system, click on the Other Platforms link to find yours. It will prompt you to save the downloaded file as before. Click on Save File, or if given the option, choose a location to download the file. Then locate the file and open it. Depending on your system, the name of the file might be different from what you see here. The Install dialog box will appear. You need to agree to the agreement in order to proceed. So make sure you click that and then click Next. Here you can choose where to save the file. If you don't like the location that it's given, simply click the Browse button and select the location. Once the location is set, click on Next. I'm okay with this location, so I'll click Next. Next, it will ask you if you want to create a Start menu folder. Again, you can select the file location by clicking Browse. If you don't want to create this, simply click the box at the bottom and then click Next. I'm satisfied with this setting, so I'll just click Next. Now, you'll need to determine what other options you wish to perform during this installation. Choose the boxes that best suit your needs. The last box, Add to Path, is a must. Do not proceed further without making sure this box is checked. Like when we installed Python, this will make running the program easier. I have the last two boxes checked, and now I'll click on Next. This dialog box will show you what and how you are about to install based on the selections you've made. Make sure it looks good. If something is missing, click the Back button to change a setting. If everything looks good, click on the Install button to begin installing. You should see VSC begin to install. Once the installation is complete, you'll see the Completing the Visual Studio Code Setup Wizard box appear. You may either check the box to launch it now, or just click Finish to exit. I'm going to launch it for this tutorial, so I'll check the Launch button and then click Finish. So here is Visual Studio Code freshly installed. Each computer may be a bit different, but this is the gist of what you'll see. On the left, you'll see some icons, a menu at the top, a page tab called Get Started, and a container at the bottom that will have some system information. I will briefly go over some features of VSC, but if you want a full tutorial, I suggest you visit code.visualstudio.com for more information. The first thing that we'll do is set up Visual Studio Code. Click on the extensions icon to the left that look like building blocks. Automatically, it will list the most popular installs. I've listed the 5 most important installs for using Visual Studio Code and Python for our purposes. They are Python, which includes Pylance, Lint, and other programs, Prettier, Live Server, Visual Studio IntelliCode, and VS Code icons. To find each of these, you only have to type in the search bar what you are looking for. Here, we will click on the Python with 44.4 million downloads and a 4-star rating. Once your extensions are installed, you can simply click on the extension icon and it will list all of the extensions you have installed. To edit an extension, simply click on the installed extension and it will bring up a dialog box containing links to disable the extension, uninstall it, details about the extension, and more. Again, I encourage you to go through each extension and explore them further. Now let's create a projects folder. Anywhere on your computer, pick a spot you want to store your Python files. Create a folder. I'm going to store my folder on my desktop, so I'll go to my desktop, right-click, and select New Folder. I'll name the folder Dev Code, and then I'll open the folder and add another folder inside of it by right-clicking, selecting New Folder, and naming that folder Py Files. The Dev Code folder will hold my Py files and maybe some other coding files. Back in Visual Studio Code, let's open that folder we just created. Now, there are 3 ways to do this. The first option is to select the Open Folder link on the front page or Get Started page. This page will often load when you first open Visual Studio Code. The second option is to click on File in the top menu, then click on Open Folder in the submenu. This is the best option and is always available. The third option, which is not always available, is to click the Open Folder link next to the sidebar icons under the Explorer tab. This option is only available if no project folders or files are currently open. When you click on any of these 3 options, an Open Folder dialog box will appear. Locate the location of the folder you wish to use, making sure your path goes all the way through, and then click Select Folder. So here my path shows this PC, desktop, dev code, Py files. Now I'll click on Select Folder. When you first open a new folder, a Trust dialog box may appear. It will ask you if you trust the author of the written files in the folder. Click the checkbox and then click on the Yes button. Now let's create our first file. Again, there are 4 ways to do this. The first is using the Get Started page New File link. When you click this option, you will be met with a Create New dialog box at the top of your screen. In the box, type in the file name with the proper extension. Now, naming conventions for Python files should be all lowercase. Avoid using underscores, and you can use camel case if you wish. All Python files should end with the extension .py. So here you can type hello.py. Then just hit Enter to save. The second option, which I think is the best, is to click on the Explorer icon to the left. This will show the Explorer menu just to the right of the icons. You'll see the name of your project folder and 4 icons. The first is Add New File, then Add New Folder, the Refresh Explorer button, and finally the Collapse All Folders button. Click on Add File. You will be prompted to name the file with a blinking cursor dialog box. Type in the name of the file, hello.py, and hit Enter. The third option is also a good option, but not so much user-friendly or fast. Here, click on File in the top menu, then click on New File in the submenu. You will see a new Page tab appear to the right of the Explorer column and Get Started Page tab. It will be titled Untitled 1. At this point, you may begin typing anything in the editor, but the language won't be recognized until you save the file a specific way. To save the file, go back to File in the top menu, then click on Save or Save As, or simply bypass this step by pressing Ctrl and S. A Save dialog box will appear. You'll see the name of the file in the box for file name, and Save As type will be set to plain text with the extension .txt. Type in the name of the file in the file name box, then click on the Save As type box to get the drop-down list of files. Scroll down until you see Python and select it. Note, if you give a file a name with no extension, such as hello, then you need to make sure that you select the correct type in the Save As Type dropdown. If you name the file with the proper extension, such as HELLO.PY, then you do not need to set the Save As Type. It will automatically be done for you when you save the file. Once you are done making the adjustments, click Save. The final option is to click the Explorer icon, then right-click in the empty space below the folder name. Click New File, and you will see a naming box appear in the Explorer. Type in the name of the file with the proper extension and hit Enter to save. Now that we have created our first file, let me show you a bit of navigation. Again, to the left is the Explorer icon. This will show you all of your current project files. It will allow you to edit, add, collapse, and refresh. Inside the Explorer column will be files and folders within the project folder. Next, we have the page tabs. The first is the Get Started page tab, and the second is the newly created HELLO.PY page tab. You can toggle between the pages by clicking on the tabs. Click the X to close the tab. At the top, we have the program title. This title will change as you switch through tabs. Next, we have the Debug Run icon to the left. This button is a bit more advanced and we'll likely use it later. In the upper right-hand corner is another Debug Run button, which we will use the most. VSC allows you to split your screen so that you can have multiple tabs open at once. There are two ways to do this. The first method is to hold the page tab you wish to move, then drag it down and to the right until you see a partition appear. When you see the partition appear, let go of the mouse. You will see one tab on one side and the other on the other side. This will be useful later when we start creating classes. The other way is to simply select the split screen button in the top right-hand corner next to the Debug Run button. This automatically splits the screen, but be warned, this often causes two instances of the same page tab. Doing it this way will allow you to close out one instance without having to close the tab completely. The terminal is where you will run your code. When we press the Run button, Python will filter through the code according to the instructions and print output to the terminal. To open a new terminal, go to the top menu, select Terminal, then click New Terminal. A new terminal dialog box will appear at the bottom. This should look similar to your terminal, command prompt, or PowerShell. In the upper right of the box is a terminal drop-down menu. Here you can choose which format you want. For me, PowerShell is default, and I'm okay using it. If I wanted to, I could change it to command prompt, or if I have a Linux command line program, I can load that as well. I can also configure the terminal properties from here. For now, I'll keep the settings the way they are. Visual Studio Code allows you to do simple math within the terminal without having to run a program as you see here. Simply type in the math problem and hit Enter. Python will return the value on the next line. Also, Python doesn't recognize white spaces, so adding a space between numbers and symbols doesn't affect the outcome, as you can see here in the example of 1 times 12. However, if you want to do more than just simple math, you'll need to write your code within the page and then select the Debug Run icon in the upper right-hand corner. So let's go ahead and type in some code in our HELLO.PY page. Let's type print, open parentheses, double quotes, hello world with an exclamation point, then closing double quotes, followed by closing parenthesis. Now, click on the Run button. Below you should see Hello World print to the terminal. You've just printed your first string. We'll go over more of this in our next video, but you've basically just asked Python to print to the screen the sentence Hello World. Here is an example of some of the things that we will go over in the next video, but I'll go over them quickly. When we want to type a comment or something that we don't want Python to run, but we want the programmer to see, we use the pound sign. This tells Python that the sentence following will be a comment and ignore it. You'll need a pound sign for each line of comment. As you just saw, print is a command that tells Python to print what is inside parentheses and print it to the terminal. The double quotes indicate a string of characters. Thus, it's called a string. Again, we can do math. So we can tell Python, print this math, 2 plus 3, and it will perform the calculation according to PEMDAS and print the result. Line 3 is a variable called message, and we are assigning it a value of a string, and that string is happy birthday. So when we print string message, happy birthday will be printed. Same with name, a variable with the value of John. So line 5 will print the string message and the string name. So we have happy birthday John. We can assign number values to variables as well. So when we print age, Python will print 25. We can write Python in different ways. Lines 8 and 9 are the same as line 10. Now, I challenge you to practice on your own and see what you can come up with using these examples. Note, if you make a mistake, Python will tell you what you did wrong and often give you a hint as to why. Pretty helpful. So try some simple coding until the next video. And that's a wrap. Today I covered what Python is, installing Python, exploring IDEs, installing Visual Studio Code, navigating Visual Studio Code, writing our first program, and I showed you a few examples of some of Python's abilities that we will cover in the next video. So in the next video, we'll cover variables and simple data types. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that bell icon too so you never miss another video. And until next time, thanks so much for watching.